on to Hauntworld the movie, part 4. As we get further and further into Hauntworld movies, they're going to get more and more and more haunts, like where it was like overwhelming. And so this one is lacking a little bit on the haunted house side, but let me tell you what you're in store for. We have another little segment from Castle Blood, and he introduces this guy who was so funny, and you could go to YouTube and look this guy up, the Spooky Spectre. He had a TV show in the Pittsburgh area, the Spooky Spectre. Back when the haunted house industry started, everybody had nicknames. I mean, I was Dr. Frightener, you had Horror Master Hamp, and then I think he changed it to something else. John Denley was Professor Nightmare. There was Jamie Reaper Rona. I mean, everybody had a nickname. It would be a breath of fresh air if everybody got back to that and give themselves a horror nickname. Because we all came from this like love of wanting to do a haunted house. We never thought it would get as big as it did. And so we were just kind of enjoying the moment. We all had these little nicknames. You know, it just would be so incredible if everybody got back to having nicknames. It just makes it more fun, makes it more enjoyable. And I got into the haunted house business because I loved Halloween. And I gave myself a name, Dr. Frightener. On my Elvira pinball game upstairs, I have this Elvira pinball game. It's brand new. It's a special edition, limited edition, and it's worth like over $20,000. And somebody made a mod, and he could 3D print it. My mod is on the crypt, and it says Dr. Frightener. Everybody should get a little nickname. Instead of calling each other by our names, I think it would lighten up the mood, if you know what I mean. Anyway, there's a how-to segment on this video from John Denley on how to make a guardian. There's a long interview from a guy named Linton Harris about Madison Square Garden. We have another segment from Dr. Lady. We go to a haunted house that no longer exists. It's called Screamscapes. And then you get to see TerraVisions in 3D. When I took over TerraVisions here in St. Louis, I turned it into a complete 3D haunted house. I didn't even know the footage exists, but apparently it does. I'm in shock. I didn't even know what was on this video until I skimmed through it. You're also gonna see me walk around through the darkness haunted house, and I do Q&As and stuff. But stay tuned to the very end credits, because the funniest, most controversial thing that ever happened in the 1990s is on this video. We're all sitting around and they were making jokes, and it's pretty funny. You'll have to watch that. It's at the end credits. Now, grab your popcorn, get your favorite drink, because here we go with Hauntworld the movie part 4, and it's like over 2 hours long.
Welcome back, Fright fans. We're back again for Hauntworld the movie, part 4. Can you just not get enough of my good looks, or what? Because you keep coming back. But we're glad you do. Because we make these videos because we want to help you get better in the industry. As you become better, we all become better. And our industry as a whole gets a whole new outlook in the media, in the public's eye, and our attractions will continue to prosper. Now, in Hauntworld the movie part 4, we're going to take a look at a lot, and I mean a lot, of haunted attractions, such as the Darkness right here where I'm at, TerraVisions in 3D, Boris Karloff's Witch Dungeon in 3D. We're going to take a little bit more look at Knott's Berry Farm in the Netherworlds. We're also going to check in Madison Square Garden's Linton Harris and get a few tips from him on scares. We're also going to check in with our good friend Dr. Lady and Castle Blood, and many more. We might have a surprise or two for you in this edition of Hauntworld the movie, part 4.
Okay, we have a series of questions here from our next person here. Not sure what his name is. He goes by Tilton50 at AOL.com. That's his email address. I hope he doesn't get barraged with emails now. He's got several good questions. He wants to know, number one, are scream movies a good way of scaring people? I think that there's two ways to look at that. Obviously, a lot of haunted houses rely heavily on scream movie characters like Freddy Krueger, Pinhead, Leatherface, and things like this. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that people, they like seeing characters that they're familiar with. Although I think that originality, a haunted house that does not include scenes from movies, is more successful. I think that a typical haunted house would have these types of characters, of black walls and or blood splashed all over the place, and those haunted houses can do very well. Although, like I said, the haunted houses that pay closer attention to detail and originality and things like this, I think those kind of attractions do better. But yes, people are scared of Leatherface. They're still scared of the chainsaw. That's the best scare, bar none. Doesn't matter how you slice it or dice it. The chainsaw is always the best scare, no matter how great your haunted house is. But Scream, Halloween, Michael Myers, heck, here in the Darkness on a Theme Park, we had a guy running around in a Michael Myers mask, and people just love it. They hate Michael Myers. They're scared to death of him. But I would prefer to go a little bit more original than that, and maybe throw in for some spice or some familiarity a few of those type of characters. But the real problem with having a scene like Freddy Krueger scene is being able to represent that movie the way, or represent those scenes the way they were represented in the movie. And usually you can't pull that off, and so then you end up making the scene look slightly cheesy. So just stick with originality, and I think that you'll be more successful that way. And he has a couple other questions here, actually a few good ones. Which is better to use on what occasion, makeup or mask? This is a good one. You know, if you go to Knott's Berry Farm, for example, which you saw some footage of Knott's Berry Farm on Hauntworld Movie Part 2, they're primarily using masks with really nice costumes. And I think that most people cannot put the makeup on in a professional way, and that goes for everybody for the most part. Can't put the makeup on very professional, considering that you don't want to pay your actors 2 hours to get in professional prosthetics and things like this, and you're going to raise your budget way up to do the makeup like Hollywood. So I'd say a combination of the two is better. What we usually do here in the Darkness is 50-50. Now the people who can really do the makeup well, we let those people do the makeup themselves, and then the people who are not so well at it, we make them wear masks. But overall, I think masks are better, but the actors don't seem to like them as much as using the makeup. But at least 50-50. Masks are good, masks are scary, and if makeup can be applied right, it can be good and scary as well. So I would say never go more than 50-50. But if you were going to go lean more one way than the other, I would say more mask than makeup, unless you can do makeup like unreal makeup. So I hope that clears up that issue as far as how I feel about it. Sticking with the same individual, he obviously has been to Knott's Berry Farm because he wants to know, how could you make those metal shakers that they use so much in Knott's Berry Farm? I'll tell you, I think the reason why they use those metal shakers is because their throughput is so high. They really don't pause or break up groups. They let them go through nonstop, and that obviously raises the stakes quite a bit. You have to have 4 or 5 times more actors if you're going to get any scares. So I mean, their payroll has got to be out of this world. I've heard they have over 1,000 ghouls and ghosts running around Knott's Berry Farm. That's a lot. Most haunters can't afford that. So I think that's the main reason why they use the shakers. And it's a good idea. It's actually an excellent idea. And I'll tell you, if you want to make a shaker, I don't know how they make theirs, but what I would suggest is you get, say, a can of vegetables, okay? Cut the lid like 50% open, peel that lid back, and put some metal bearings in there or something like this, and then close the lid back shut, and then tape over it real well. And I think that is probably the easiest way I could tell you on how to make some metal shakers. And actually, they're not a bad idea for your actors, especially the ones that aren't the best at scaring people. So hopefully that'll help you there. Okay, our next question comes from Sean, and he's got another host of great questions. And one of them, he wants to know about location. What do you do about locations? Well, first thing you've got to get through your mind when you're looking for an attraction or a location for an attraction is that haunted house. That term seems to make you think, well, I'm looking for an old scary house on some land somewhere. Well, most of those types of places are gone. That's a thing of the past because everywhere where you remember as a kid, I remember that big haunted house, that scary looking building that used to be up on that hill, and now there's like a whole subdivision there, or there's a Walmart there or something like this. Well, developers have just bought up all kinds of property like that, and so those kind of facilities are usually gone by now unless you want to go way off the beaten track, which has been successful for many people, such as Spooky World. They're very, very far away from the metropolitan area, but they still seem to do well. In most cases, though, you will not do well getting that far away from where the people are. So I mean, the kind of building you're looking for, I think today's haunters have to stay focus their search in the city. The cities where all the warehouses are. That's the best, cheapest square footage that you're going to be able to find in an area. When you go into a county area, typically where the malls are and all the houses are, the price per square foot usually goes up by 30 times in some cases, and you can't afford that being a seasonal attraction. So I would start your focus by looking in the city areas and try to find an attraction that has some kind of natural marker near it, like an arena or a certain place. It's like a farmer's market, like we're located right next to a farmer's market. Something that you can identify with when you're giving direction. So whenever you're looking for a location, keep in the back of your mind, I've got to advertise the location in the simplest fashion. And when we advertise our locations, we like to say as few words about where we're at as possible, because you can really confuse people. So keep that in mind when you're looking for a location. The next question comes from a guy named Steve, and he wants to know, is it a good idea buying a mobile haunted attraction unit from someone like ourselves or our Boneyard or some of these other people that are selling these mobile haunted houses? It depends on where you're going to put it and what the attraction, the theme is all about. I mean, obviously, if you're going to go into a mobile haunted house type of situation, you're usually thinking of maybe renting space from, like, say, a water park, and you want to set up in their parking lot. If you were going to go with a mobile attraction and you were going to, say, be on, like, say, a fairground situation, I would probably do fewer square foot on the attraction, say 3,000 to 4,000 square foot, and do 2 or 3 of them, and then advertise it more as a haunted festival. And sure, now these attractions have proven scares by haunters who have been in the business for many, many years, and basically what a haunted house unit is, and they all depend on quality and attention to detail, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when these haunted houses don't have any detail. But the key to a mobile haunted house unit is that the supplier, whoever's supplying the attraction to you, focuses his attention on the detail and the props and the theme, and trying to keep that theme consistent throughout. And that's what's going to make your customers enjoy the attraction. Anybody can build a haunted house with black walls and the same scares that you see everywhere, dropping pictures, pulling panels, slamming doors. Anybody can do that. It's the attention to detail. And if you're going to buy a mobile haunted attraction unit from someone, make sure that you check out their attraction first. Do they have a permanent attraction? Can you see video of other mobile units they've built, or pictures or something? Because that is key. And I would also suggest, checking references, making sure their past clients were happy with their product and things like this. There's a lot of people out there now selling mobile haunted attractions, and I wouldn't say that the majority of these people are selling a product that they know works, or that they have done before, or for that matter, know exactly what they're doing, or if they've never done it before, they're not sure how it's going to set up. And that's very, very key, because when you're doing a mobile haunted house unit, setup time is crucial. You've got to be able to put one of these up in about 2 or 3 days. And it can be done if you know what you're doing. And you can get yourself into some serious labor problems and fire marshal problems, and that's another issue with mobile units. Before you ever build that mobile unit, you've got to have the building material approved, and what kind of fire safety type stuff you're going to use. There's a lot to it. So when you hire a haunted consultant to build you a mobile haunted house unit, make sure that that haunted consultant has done this before, okay, and check the references, and if you can, get a tour of any attraction that they've done or their own attraction, and definitely be very careful when you buy one. But yes, they can be good, and like I said before, if it's going to be in a setting like, say, on a fairgrounds, try to get several of them. It's better for the advertising. We have 2 more questions here. The next one is about alien scenes, and he says that Sean says that they kind of gave up on their alien scenes because they had so many problems with them. I don't suggest alien scenes because when I think of a haunted house, anything haunted, I just don't think of aliens. I think of science fiction. And I think that science fiction is the hardest theme to pull off, to make believable. Because whenever you see like an alien movie or, you know, any kind of movie like that, I mean, you're talking a lot of special effects. Think about it. When you watch Scream, there's hardly no special effects. There's blood dripping off his neck or something like this. A knife, you know, goes into somebody's chest or whatever. Very low on special effects. Now, when you're talking sci-fi, you're talking about aliens, spaceships, outer space. You're talking about lasers and all kinds of stuff. I totally stay away from science fiction themes, as I think that the season of Halloween, like if you watch, you know, like say, you know, a cable channel that's running a lot of horror movies, you don't see science fiction movies. You see like House on Haunted Hill, or you know, you see Psycho. You see these movies that include like haunted houses. You see, you know, movies like Phantasm about, you know, people digging up graves and stuff like this. All kinds of different themes, but you don't see like science fiction type movies. I would totally stay away from it. But if you were going to do science fiction, try to pay a lot of attention to detail. Watch as many movies as you can. You know, put pipes all over the walls. Paint the walls to look like different corridors. You know, make like ladders that go up into like thin air, like if it would be going up into another part of the ship. Put computers all over the place. You might have like build control panels that are all smashed up, and take a lot of wires and put the wires hanging out of everywhere and stuff like this. So maybe, you know, that can help you to some degree there. The next question is about compressed air. Apparently this person has been to Orlando and went through Skull Kingdom, and they obviously were very scared by all the air explosions that were going off all throughout Skull Kingdom. I'll tell you that using air to scare, which is what we've been doing for the past 3 or 4 years, is very effective, and you can eliminate actors by doing that. There's several companies out there selling air cannons. Our company is one of those companies. We have an air cannon that we sell for like $500, and it comes with a motion detector. You set it up, a whole group of people walk by it, it explodes, this burst of air, and it scares people. It's a very effective scare because you eliminate an actor. You eliminate payroll taxes. You eliminate all that stuff. You know, which brings me to a whole other issue of actors. A lot of haunted houses, when I talk to them, you know, they have 35, 40 actors. They think they've got to have an actor crawling around every corner. You know, there's something to be said about suspense. If you watch a horror movie and around every time they make an edit, there's a guy being stabbed or killed, it would just get boring after a while. I think that a haunted house should focus more on the best actors and get rid of the rest of them, because I found that more actors just means more trouble. Try to build your scares where you can get one actor working 3 or 4 different things simultaneously. Like, you know, one of the main problems with a haunted house is, like, if an actor does a scare and you're running a busy night, a bunch of people behind him seeing what just happened. Now, I've always told my actors, well, at that point, just get back in your space or whatever, wait, you know, count to like 10 or 15, and just jump out and do it again to the next group that was just at that time coming around the corner. But if you build your scares to where on one side he's getting them, say, with a curtain scare, but he can totally turn around and he's getting a whole other section of the maze, and he can drop a window or slam a door or drop a pulley scare. That would be the best way to utilize actors, or, you know, as just, you know, with this original question, using air to scare, you know, an animatronic or an air cannon. Air cannons can be very, very effective, and there's several companies out there that sell them, such as Stage Fright and many others. So, but definitely try to trim the actors down, because you really have to remember, this is a business. Okay? And I'll tell you, no matter how many actors you put in your haunted house, I don't care if it's 10 million, the customers' number one and number two complaint are always going to be the same. Number one, it wasn't long enough, and number two, you didn't have enough actors. That's not going to change no matter how many actors you have. So focus on trying to utilize your labor the best way you can. Try to use air to scare, okay, and get control of your labor costs and get those scares up. And I definitely guarantee you'll have a better show, bar none. Okay, now we've come to a safety segment, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about safety. Safety is very, very important. And on how do you create your own haunted house part 1, when we first did that tape, we focused big time on safety. I'm going to give you some of the key safety tips because I've had a lot of people, too many people to name, that asked about safety. One of the main things when it comes to safety is when people are walking through your haunted attraction, they're walking through in the dark. Okay, they always have their hands in front of their face because they can't usually see. So that means they're unaware of anything they might step on. They're assuming that they're walking on a flat floor. So if you have a problem with your floor, don't put like a piece of plywood over it and screw it down. People will trip on that. You've got to get the floor level. You need to check the floor every day because if on a busy night people drop things while they're in the attraction, and somebody could step on that, twist an ankle, and fall down, whatever. You want to avoid those problems. You also have the problem of screws and nails, say, coming loose out of a wall after it's been smashed into several times by scared customers, and usually by your own actors. So you've got to check the walls to make sure that you don't have loose screws, because if you have a loose screw hanging out of a wall, somebody will walk by them, they could tear their eye open or scrape their face really bad, and that's bad. And also those loose screws and nails will fall out and fall onto the floor. So make sure that you check the floors and the walls very, very carefully. Also, another big thing, make sure that if you have any corners or steel beams, that cover them with something, a non-flammable foam, and wrap that in duct tape, or put several rolls of carpet around it or something. People can walk in the dark, they'll run right into a corner and split their head open, and you definitely don't want that. Two other very important safety tips are broken props and flammable material in your attraction. I suggest that you paint anything in your, if it's wood, paint it with a fire retardant paint, and then on top of that, after your attraction is done, I would have a flammable, non-flammable liquid, a flame retardant liquid that you can pump out of like a deck sprayer, and I spray everything, curtains, latex, recoat your walls. I mean, spray everything in your attraction. You don't want your haunted house being flammable, because a lot of customers, unfortunately, due to their own stupidity, they light lighters when they're going through your attraction, and that's a problem. So you got to make sure that they can't, start a fire inadvertently by lighting up a lighter. It's very hard to stop people from doing that, but you can. You can make sure that the things in your attraction won't burn from a simple lighter. It's very important. And obviously, backing up, and the other important thing is broken props. If you have a prop, especially a big animatronic, and maybe it's suffered some damage, or you have a railing in your attraction, or possibly even a wall that's a little wobbly, I mean, a couple more hard shots from some more customers, and it could fall down, and it could really hurt someone. So you've got to really pay close attention to your props, especially ones that might be in close proximity to the customer, and you've got to be very aware that these things are always maintained. And you should have someone, a safety type person in your attraction at all times when your attraction's running to maintenance things that get broken. Now, the two biggest safety tips I'll give you is, number one, don't ever open your haunted house without insurance. That's just like stupidity on your part if you don't have insurance. So make sure you get insurance. And probably one of the biggest safety tips I can give you is, don't let anybody go in your attraction unless they know exactly what they're going to experience. You've got to let them know ahead of time what's about to happen, that you're going to have strobe lights and fog and people jumping out at you and things like this. So you've got to have signs posted, as we do here at the Darkness, so long before they can ever get in the attraction, they know all the types of things that they're going to experience. And once they get into our queue area, we also inform them again verbally that they're going to face strobe lights and things like this. Now, we've had customers over the years at that point say, have to ask for their money back because they can't go through. They didn't realize they were going to see strobe lights, and they could be prone to a seizure from that. So that's very important to inform your customers what's going to happen once they get in that attraction. So you try to protect your own personal business. Okay, the last thing that we're going to talk about here today is detail. What is detail in a haunted house? Detail is moss. Okay, detail is the way you paint the wall. It's painting it gray and then giving it some splashes of whites and blacks and different shades of gray, and then dripping some slime down the wall. It's highlighting the walls to try to make the walls look like real bricks. It's putting cracks in the bricks. It's flower pots. It's these gargoyles and these statues back here, if you can see that. That's what detail is. And that's what makes your attraction stand out above all the others. It's all the little things that most people overlook. They always look at the bigger things, and they forget the little things. The big things are great, especially for the media, because when the media comes through, they like to see the big things and put that on TV. So you got to have a combination of both. So what I'm going to do is this is just all ad lib. I'm just going to talk a little bit about detail. One of the biggest and best things you can do for detail is buy something so cheap as cheesecloth. Now, what I'll tell you, we've got a whole box. It just goes on and on. We could wrap 10 mummies with this stuff. But what can you do with cheesecloth? What I like to do is get some really dirty water, just a little bit of brown paint, very little, just a little bit, and fill it up with a lot of water. And I like to dip the cheesecloth in that water, okay, and then I cut the cheesecloth to shreds, and I'll take my handy little staple gun and I'll staple it all over the place. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, as you can see here, I'm standing in front of a wall of coffins. It's very hard for you to see, but we're going to show all this stuff in Hauntworld the Movie Part 4. We're going to get a real good videotaping of this attraction, so you'll be able to see a lot of the detail that I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about here is, as you can see, we have like an electrical outlet back here. I don't know if you can see that very good, but it's back here. And obviously, the way that I decided to cover that up was to take this piece of cheesecloth, okay, and I've cut it in various forms to make it look like it's tattered. And what I've done is I started by just stapling it up here, a big piece, and then I started cutting it from there. And I put the rips in it, and it's nicely covering up this electrical outlet. For a nice touch, we've taken these little candles here, and we put them in the corners of the coffins. And as you can see, well, I'm not sure what you can see because I'm not the one doing the camera, but this is a whole wall of coffins. It's a whole big wall of them, and up top there's all kinds of grapevines, and there's like a bat up there. I'm not sure what all you can see. And as you can see, if we can pan back over here, this is all just cut and dry, folks. What we've done is we've added this trim, and we've cut out this design here, which goes around the coffins, and that is in front of each and every coffin. So it looks like it's a natural environment. Let's take a look at a couple other little detail things. Okay, another piece of advice I'm going to offer you about detail is a lot of the haunted houses have rails. Okay, I hate rails. I never put a rail in my haunted house unless I have to keep them guided in a certain direction, or I think a certain prop or scene could be dangerous if the customer was to get too close. Now, one of the things you can see here is instead of the typical rail, I've got this nice old wrought iron gate. Okay, I've added the detail, I've put the moss on it, and in some cases the wrought iron fence might look too nice, so I would take rusty colors and I would drip it down, maybe put some greens and some light browns and things like this on it. But this one here is pretty naturally ugly. Now what we've done is to secure it, it's secured to a wall over there, and now obviously it's just like kind of out in the wind. So what we've done is we built this stanchion, okay, that it's connected to, and we put this nice little flower pot on it with these little flowers in here. And see, this is detail. We've taken a situation where we would have had to put a rail in here because we needed people to guide around here, and we've substituted that with an idea that keeps with the theme that we're trying to present. And this is just a nice little add-on here, and it just looks natural and it looks beautiful. Okay, I'm here, I'm locked up. I'm sure a lot of people out there are happy about that. But I'm locked up here in our altar scene in the Darkness Haunted Screen Park. Now, one of the things about detail, and we got to get going here, is like take a look at this statue. I don't know if you can see that real well, but we bought this. It was only like $150. It's an angel. We've obviously painted it somewhat to make it look a little distressed. Another thing about details, like this, that looks really natural here. Got this from Gag Studios. It's just an arm with a flicker bulb on the back. Now, as you can see, our coffin back over here, you might want to get a little closer there, Jim. We got a coffin. It's on an altar here. So it's sandwiched in between these two angels with these two flickering candles on either side. And we've got these arches in the back. Now here's the neat thing about the arches before we go. The arches have got, that's just basically nylon, and we've got black lights behind it so it lights them up so they're really nice and blue. Now on the middle one, as you can see, the middle one's bigger. Now it's kind of a little hard to explain what we're going to do there, but we're actually going to shine a projector into that middle canvas, and there's going to be an actual ghost floating around in that middle one, and we're going to paint blue all around the image so it like matches the other two. But that's what detail is. Detail is doing little tricks like that. It's like the angels, it's the walls, it's the cracks in the walls that you're seeing, it's the flickering, the candles, it's the moss, it's the cages. That's what detail is.
Oh, I'm working on a new invention. What it does, it makes vegetables more sour, especially green ones. Now, you can see my invention's going perfectly as planned. But while I work on it, how about you take a trip out to see Castle Blood, Grave of the Macabre, when he's got a special guest for you today. The spooky specter. You've heard about him, now meet him. Let's head on out to the castle.
Ah, Frightener! Back again for another Hauntworld, I see. Seems like I just finished one of these. Well, for any of you new viewers, I am Macabre. Gravely Macabre. And welcome to the conservatory here at Castle Blood in Belleville, Pennsylvania. Belleville, Pennsylvania, that's what I want to talk to you about. Not our town in particular, but your town or any town in the country. For you see, one of the things that makes us successful here is that Belleville likes that we're here. They look forward to it every year, and many of the citizens of Belleville participate in the castle. You see, community relations is very important. It's something that most attractions take for granted. They pop into town, even if they're built there permanently, open up in October, do lots of gore, lots of slasher, lots of terrible, horrible things that everybody likes in October, but you don't want to see it the rest of the year. Now, as we're taping this, it's a Monday, and on Fox TV, it's Monster Monday, which means that people with millions of dollars in advertising think that horror, monsters, and family versions of all those things sell year-round. What we've done is make ourselves an indispensable part of the community. We're around year-round. You see, first off, we make sure that our town council at all times has multiple people on it who have performed here at one time or another. You'd be amazed what that kind of pull will do for you. And also, we pop up year-round to do craft fairs and county fairs and festivals. And parades. I know many of you do parades. We put a little extra effort into it at the castle. We have our Army of Doom. And you see some parades around here, well, they even pay us just to show up. You can't go wrong with that. And now here's a little snippet of Castle Blood on parade. thing we do here is appear on local TV whenever possible. At the end of this segment, we have a special treat for you. But right now, what I'd like you to take a look at are some silly trick-or-treat tips we did for our local cable channel.
Hey, vampire boys and girls. You're probably looking for some great Halloween trick-or-treat tips for Halloween now, aren't you? Well, if you're ready to try it, then we're here at Castle Blood with Gravely and Griselda, right here at Castle Blood, because they have some of the finest Halloween information we've ever doled out on the show. And here he is right now, Gravely Macabre.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Oh, yes. Always good to have you on the realm.
Yeah, always good to be had on the realm.
Of course.
Halloween. It's Halloween again. I love this time of year. The leaves are falling. Things are dying everywhere. And we blend in pretty much no matter where we go this time of year.
That's right.
I like that.
You can take the freak show on the road.
That's right. Now, we're going to be showing you some interesting tips. Both Griselda Macabre and myself, Gravely Macabre, here at Castle Blood, have the most interesting things you can possibly do and everything you need to know to make your trick-or-treating a very spooktacular occasion. Try 'em. Okay, mortals, now here with our first tip is that fair vision of moonlight, my wife, Griselda Macabre.
Now remember, mortals, in trick-or-treating, as with everything else in life, or death, presentation is everything.
You know, when you're planning your goodies for your Halloween parties or for trick-or-treaters, there are plenty of options of regular store-bought goodies for them, like these monster cookies, for instance. But here at Castle Blood, we highly recommend the traditional, the old-fashioned, the homemade. Yes, these'll certainly leave them screaming for more. Here's a couple of kids that won't be soaping my windows this Halloween.
Now here's another one of our favorite tricks at the castle. Remember, it's trick as well as treat. So, if you run out of goodies, consider turning your trick-or-treaters into next year's holiday decorations.
You know, a long-standing tradition here at the castle, at our parties, and even for the trick-or-treaters, is that we like to award people that put a little extra effort into their costumes. So we hand out little prizes for them. It makes the evening much more special. In fact, here's last year's winner.
And here's the runner-up.
Now, here's another tip, a great one for the end of the night. It's been a beautiful evening, the crowds have been big, and you're running out of candy. What are you gonna do now? Trick or treat! Well, here's my advice to you. Last year's broken Halloween decorations equal this year's treats.
Thank you, mister. Bye.
I gave that weird blonde-headed kid a rock. That's right, Fright Night Friday. It's produced by CUTV, California University of Pennsylvania, and Castle Blood is a regular player on that show. And by special request for Dr. Frightener, we have the star of that show, the horror host itself from southwestern Pennsylvania's best, the Spooky Spectre.
Gravely, my old fiend.
Good to see you. I'm doing good, Spooky, doing good. Thanks for being here, I really appreciate it.
Hey, I love your digs.
Thanks, it's the best we could dig up, I guess.
Oh, that's good.
Now, Spooky, I've been telling the people about the relationship between Castle Blood and Fright Night Friday and how it benefits both of us.
Oh, it's horrific. Fright Night Friday has never looked any better since we've had Gravely and crew come and be part of our movie magic.
What we do, we benefit year-round by being on the show. It's great advertising for us all the time. People get to see the production values that we bring to the show. Now, the show also benefits.
Right, we have these talented people here that has designed the sets, the costumes, everything. They're local, and we're easily accessible to each other. So if we need to come out to Gravely's establishment and tape, we have sets that are here all the time. so it's easy. And then at our studio, Gravely has designed and built sets, so we have a permanent fixture, a permanent set all year long. So it's easy to tape a show with quality production material such as this.
Now also, the two of us go out on some of the county fairs and festivals we were talking about to sign autographs and meet the public. So many of the kids these days, they're in this whole autograph mentality. Half of them, we're on a cable station. Half of them have never heard of us before. But they'll wait in line to get our pictures and get them signed for us, and they take them home, and then they do know who we are, and it's got the times of the show or the times that our attraction is open right on all the information we pass out.
Right, so you have to promote yourself. And as Gravely said, they don't even have to know that you're a star. Just tell them you're a star. They'll believe you. Trust me, society is so gullible.
Now, anything else you wanted to go over tonight, Spook?
Well, let me see. You know, there was that one issue I wanted to bring up to you about this guy named Larry. Larry, that was his name. He's from St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know, he's been wanting me to come out to St. Louis for some time now, and I think we need Dr. Frightener to step in here because this guy Larry, he scares me a little bit.
Yeah, well, he scares a lot of us, Spooky. That's why we deal with Dr. Frightener all the time.
Well, I hope Dr. Frightener could pass this bit of information along to Larry. Larry, the Spooky Spectre would love to see you someday, but tone it down a bit, buddy. Pennsylvania has some strict stalking laws. So.
Right, good. Well, thanks for coming over. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on Friday night.
That's right, I'll see you there, bud, but, you know, this is nice. You never let me come and visit too much.
I know, and if you feel like you want to lose the address when you leave, that would be fine, too.
Huh? Oh, well, anyway, all right, see you guys later.
Another tip. Never let relatives be on the show. So, we hope you've enjoyed some of our little snippets of how we keep Castle Blood in the public's eye year-round. This will work for you incredibly well if you can do this, especially in the smaller communities. So, for everyone here at Castle Blood, remember, I am Macabre, Gravely Macabre, and we hope you have a good season.
As you can see, something's gone terribly wrong with my experiment. So while I try to fix the problem, we'll head back out to Salem, Mass, where John Denley is going to show you how to make an awesome prop called the Guardian. And we'll take a tour through the all-new Boris Karloff in 3D Witch Dungeon. I'll see you back here if I don't explode myself.
Hello, Larry. I call this one the Guardian. We're going to show you and your viewers how to make this custom prop for their haunted attractions. You need only a few things. A coffin, plywood will do, some chicken wire, burlap, lightweight joint compound, some black paint and paintbrush, of course, a stapler, and any old mask or skull. Ready to get to work? Let's get to it. Okay, start by taking your wooden coffin and lying it down on the floor. It's much easier to work this way. Next, cut some chicken wire to form a body shape, as shown. Roll up some more chicken wire for arms and feet, and staple the edges to the coffin. Now you're ready. Attach the skull and then the burlap. Keep stapling the edges. Stand your creature up Next, mix 2 gallons of lightweight joint compound with enough black paint to turn it dark gray. It will eventually dry 2 shades lighter. And begin applying the joint compound. Once totally coated, let it dry overnight and paint it to your liking. They look really spooky, and only you'll know what they're made of. Good luck. Terror Tour into Hauntworld the Movie, Part 2.
Thank you, Professor Nightmare, for that tour through Boris Karloff's Witch Dungeon in 3D. Now let's switch subjects. Let's head on over to New York City, where Linton Harris, the producer, creator, and director of Medicine Scare Garden, is going to share with you a few tips on how to create scares and awareness in your attraction. 3 years ago, they attempted to do the biggest haunted event in the entire country in Madison Square Garden. They've learned a lot along the way. And then we'll take a look and see how New York City covers such a haunted attraction. So let's take it away to New York City.
Okay, hi, I'm Linton Harris, creator and director of Madison Square Garden here in New York City, scariest place on earth. And that's inside, not outside. Madison Square Garden is really different because we have a multiple of attractions as opposed to just one singular experience. And it gives the audience, I guess, different feelings and different environments to work in, and different things to see and to feel and experience. I feel it's really important to have a multi-layered and a multi-experiential show so that you can appeal to all ages. One thing that Madison Square Garden has been very successful at, like really nowhere else in the country, is that we get the moms and dads during the day, we get the teenagers in the afternoon and the early evening, and then we get the nightclub crowd at night. So there's really no attraction like that that can achieve that. And we operate during the day just like Disney on Ice or the circus, and we get those mums and dads and kids. So the fact that it's just not all, blood and guts and terror enables us to appeal to many people just wanting to come out and having a good time. Well, as you know, this is the third year of Madison Square Garden. We've learned a lot of things, like having Countess Vladimira here. I mean, she appeals to many, many people, mainly guys, but many people, and I guess variety. Learning in the first year, a lot of the attraction people said was very, very similar, and that it wasn't scary enough. So we really took it to take it edgier, but also to still make it intelligent versus gory, and still appealing to that wide breadth of people. The other thing that we really didn't fall for after the first year was the concept of high throughput being the way home, in that we need to do a strong throughput, but if you get sold something that says 1,000, 1,200 people an hour and there's no experience, then your attraction isn't going to last too many years. Madison Square Garden does a throughput, a very articulate throughput of each attraction to try and maximize and almost guarantee the experience to the guest. Now, of course, it doesn't always happen because of the nature of the attraction, but that's what we strive for, to strive for maximum experience for each guest. I guess the future for Madison Square Garden and looking at new things and new ways to entertain our audience is it's based on 2 or 3 things. In the first year, we based our criteria for the show on one thing, basically, which was scariness, which was wrong, and then we got that wrong also. But this year and the last years, we've said that there's different criteria. 1, it's got to be entertaining. 2, it's got to be cool and fun. And 3, it's got to be scary. So it's a combination of effects. So I think what we do now is we look towards Hollywood and I guess broader fields rather than the haunted house industry, because my attitude here at Madison Square Garden is that we want to lead the industry, not follow it. So we're looking at ways and thinking of things that try and cutting edge in terms of ideas of what I think will scare people, not once they're inside somewhere, but starting right from the word go. Like Rikers Island 2, when that thing's cranking, you've got people scared of touching the fences because of the perception that it's electrifying. And I think that's where you start to try and get clever rather than just, do the same old gags. So, we're playing New York and our pricing is such that you've got to give people a good show. This year, we put on a haunted theater with a 145-seat theater with Chris Angel, a really MTV kind of illusionist. Now, that wasn't scary, but it adds to the entertainment factor and the whole quotient there of why you're paying that much money and then having an experience that can last over an hour. I think other advice to other guys out there who want to set up a haunted attraction is that it's like you got to treat it like any other business. You've got to get so many people in the door at so much dollars a head and give them an experience that hopefully they'll want to come back to, or at least see that you've improved. One of the key things of Madison Square Garden is that from year 1 to year 2, we improved the show greatly. From year 2 to year 3, we improved it greatly. And audiences that have come back have said that. So, I mean, that's the key lesson, is to be humble enough to know that you've got to, you don't get everything right, but that you're willing to learn and you're willing to listen to your audience, which is what we do. We do research. You know, our break even in New York is like 70-odd thousand people. That's a lot of people before I make, you know, 50 cents. So you've really got to work hard, be in it for the long term, to understand the thing about franchise marketing and franchise entertainment, to say, okay, well, if it's cost me a couple of $1 million already, but over 30 years, what's the payback? So just treat it like any other business model. Be aggressive in terms of your marketing and your experience, and trying to give value for money to the audience so that they'll want to come back, tell their friends. I think the key thing in terms of improving the show was getting back personally involved. In year one, I had a whole lot of people involved between myself and the audience, and I think that got a lot to do with the fact that I'd moved from Australia, and I didn't trust myself enough where I should have. I mean, in year two, I directed the show personally. I cut a whole layer of production people out because they were trying to give me their show versus what I wanted and what my vision was. Because I have I'm very hard on myself. I mean, we're here in New York City, and we're going to show at Madison Square Garden, and I'm a pretty young guy, so I'm here for a reason. So you got to trust yourself and make sure that if it's your show and your name on the door, then I want to, I'll take the critics, but I'll take the accolades in the sense that, you know what, if my name's on the door, then I want to make sure it's completely my show in that regard, and that I had that control and that experience, so that someone's not, denigrating my equity in this production. So taking back the ship and then doing it in a different manner. Now I'm training people and trying to remove myself so that we can create other shows, and we don't just do this, as you know. So I need to stand back, but the process is now train people to try and give them the vision and give them the creative envelope and the paintbrush, like we do with all our actors. We encourage all the actors to get involved, and if they have a good idea, then feel free to contribute it. So, and we ask the audience too, Larry. I mean, we ask the audience, how can we make this better? And we get ideas, and we try new things. I mean, for instance, Countess Vladimira here, we talked a year ago. We couldn't do it last year, but we decided to give it a go this year. So, we're totally open, to new ideas and exploring things with, with other people and other ideas, but all under the guise of Madison Square Garden, to say, you must fit our overall integrity and our overall image of what we're trying to project, so that there's not a disconnect in what we're trying to achieve.
From New York City's only all-news channel, this is New York One, news all evening.
It's not Halloween yet, but hundreds of people turned out at Madison Square Garden this morning dressed up for it. They were auditioning for the Madison Square Garden Scream Park. That's a 40,000 square foot interactive stage inside the Paramount Theater, filled with haunted thrills and chills.
Yeah, we got 3 or 4 new big attractions, including a haunted theater, which is unbelievable.
How much are you single? I'll tell you what, if you're single, then let me guess, I'll have a couple minutes for that. It should be double.
Giant House of Horrors opened tonight at one of New York's most popular tourist attractions. Reg Wells was lucky enough to get a first-hand spook out there. Reg Wells is live at Madison Square Garden, or we should call it Scare Garden, right, Reg?
I'm still getting a first-hand look. These are some of my friends, Ernie. This is Fright Night at Madison Square Garden, but it is indeed not for the faint of heart. People are standing in line to be scared out of their wits. It is dark and smoky, and above all, very scary. The Madison Square Garden Show is an interactive Halloween show. Monsters and ghouls, maybe even some clowns. You the man.
You the man, Red.
No, you the man.
You the man.
I want to be New York's Mecca for Halloween. It's a show that obviously people want. We've seen that by the response the first 2 years. I mean, we put a lot of kids through here. Everybody seems to enjoy it.
Haunted thrills and chills abound here.
Oh, God, they're real.
Monster madness continues through Halloween here. But be prepared to be scared.
Get out of my house! Get out of
actually get scared at anything?
Yeah.
What scared you?
A lot of the monsters. They're all over the place. Just keep popping out all over the place.
You really into Halloween?
Yeah. Halloween's fun. It's for everybody. You know, really. The kids have a good time.
Well, this is indeed Fright Night, but these are not cheap thrills. The tickets are $19.95 apiece, but you come out and get to see some of these people. Live from Madison Scare Garden, I'm Reg Wells, UPN 9 News. Brenda.
Thank you, Reg.
And now, a public service announcement. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. This is your brain on a pair of shoes. This is your brain on your stereo turntable. This is your brain on your neighbor's outdoor barbecue. This is your brain being used to scrub the sink. So please remember, play it safe. Keep your brain inside your head where it belongs. Thank you.
Welcome back again to Dr. Franklin's hosting of Hauntworld the Movie Part 4. Okay, now I'll back out to Chatfield, Ohio for a visit with Dr. and Laura Lady. They're going to show you a few tips on lighting your haunted attraction. And then we'll take a quick tour and see what all the rave is about. We'll take a tour of the Horror Hotel. But Doctor, do not promote your book this time.
No! No, please! No more! No more! I beg you! Have mercy! You suffer, you pathetic little fool! Here's another one! And another! Yes, my friend! And another! No! Please! I can't stand it anymore! I'm just getting started. As city fire inspector, I'm sure I can find a lot more safety violations to help me shut down your haunted attraction. Look, here's another one.
Man, I like horror movies, but this one goes too far.
Sometime later, after regaining his composure, Dr. Lady was able to appear in a slightly more worthwhile segment.
Good evening. If you run a haunted house attraction, then I'm sure you're aware there are many factors that need to be considered in order to make your haunt safe, fun, and realistic. Now, of the many problems plaguing the haunted house industry, tonight I'd like to address a serious health risk which has been ignored for far too long now in the haunted attraction business. A problem that causes thousands of painful injuries to haunt workers and their employees every season, and yet is always ignored by the media. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about the threat of safety pin accidents. How many injuries happen each year in the haunted house world because of the careless mishandling of these supposedly, reputedly safe fastening devices? Now, you know, it takes a lot of safety pins to put together the average haunted attraction, and in fact there are some I know of where there are as many as 30 or 40,000 safety pins within a single costume. Yet the problem goes unchecked of all those injuries. So, I think it's time people thought a little more about safety pin accidents. The reason safety pin accidents get so little media coverage is because we don't hear about them in the news very much. Now, keep in mind, part of the problem in generating awareness of safety pin problems is the fact that it's so easy to ignore. It's very easy to just look the other way and think it'll never happen to us. It's easy to think that if we ignore the safety pin danger, it'll go away. So let's. Instead, I'd like to talk to you tonight about one of the most important facets of running any haunted house, and that is the importance of effective lighting. Oh no, not again. I warned you about smoking in bed. Now then, one of the most important aspects in creating the overall atmosphere you want in your haunted house is through the use of controlled lighting. Now, of course, candlelight is always a very dramatic and atmospheric effect for any gothic horror scene, but, well, thanks to the dangers of starting a fire and maybe burning down your haunt, along with 3 or 4 surrounding city blocks, it is very unsafe and in most areas illegal to use real flames in an indoor situation. So I recommend you get these flickering flame bulbs, which can be purchased wherever flickering flame bulbs are sold, such as Halloween suppliers, novelty stores, electrical supply houses, things like that. Anyway, these bulbs create a wonderful artificial candlelight look, although they don't really give off much light. They're usually only 3 to 5 watts, and in fact, they don't even give off enough light to read the script that I wish I had right now. So what you want to do is augment them with other lights, such as red and orange, or red and yellow, or yellow and orange, or red, yellow, and orange spotlights, such as we have in this particular scene. The trick is hide the spotlights where your audience can't see them, and always make sure that they're positioned in such a way that the light coming from the spotlights could possibly be coming from the direction of your fake candles. Nobody will think about it. It'll just give the effect of these little candlelight bulbs giving off all that light. And it's a good effect, it's cheap, and so I recommend it. Excuse me. Now let's move on to something else. Now, if you want to create the effect of flickering candle flames dancing and flashing across your favorite mask or prop or rodent, a good way to do that is to augment these novelty flickering candle bulbs with ordinary Christmas lights. Use the indoor kind, replace the bulbs in a regular string of Christmas lights with blinking bulbs, conceal them in a place where the audience can't see them, behind a piece of your scenery or something, and that too will give the effect that the candle is illuminating the scene. A good trick that I recommend, but do be very careful. Be sure your wiring is very safe, and do handle it with the greatest of caution, okay? Now, like I said, I recommend that trick. It's a good, cheap way to light the scenes in your haunted attraction. Now, for a look at something else good and cheap, let's go over to Horror Hotel hostess, Laura.
Hello, fellow haunters. Tonight, I'd like to give you a little advice on how to handle those more difficult employees. Now, I'm sure that most of your hired help will do a wonderful job for you. However, in every group, there's bound to be at least 1 or 2 whose performance in some way disappoints you. But I'm sure if you'll reason with them gently, even the stupidest assistant can be taught to do his job properly.
I'm sorry, Laura. I won't ever spill Pepsi on your mess again.
I know you won't. To begin with, I think a good spanking would be in order. And then, of course, if that doesn't work...
Hold it. Laura, excuse me.
What?
You're doing the wrong topic tonight.
But,
You're doing the employee relations. That's for next time. Tonight we're supposed to be doing lighting. Lighting.
Sorry. Later. Why don't we go into the next room, and I'll give you a few tips on lighting instead.
We interrupt this program to bring you this tornado warning. Tornadoes are extremely dangerous and should, whenever possible, be avoided. Now back to our show.
It may sound like the oldest lighting trick in the book, and it probably is. Everyone loves the effect of a strobe light. It's easy to use, and everyone loves that freaky psychedelic atmosphere it gives everything. Hit it, Wolfie.
Okay.
Okay, plug the other strobe light in and turn it on.
Oh, baby, you strobe light, you give me hot flashes, you cutie, you.
Wolfie,
Ooh.
just make it blink.
Oh, okay.
If you want anything done right, forget it. Anyway, not only will a strobe light add this sense of chaos and panic to your scene, but also will enliven a scene that's otherwise kind of dull and lifeless. And if you have this sitting in an area where the audience has to stand for a long period of time with nothing to do, they can entertain themselves as long as they have a strobe light. You might even consider it sort of an audience babysitter. Another classic is the black light. Although technically it's purple and not really black, still, no haunted house would be complete without lots of black lights and lots of cheap glow-in-the-dark crap. And, just like the strobe light, the black light will keep your patrons endlessly entertained. The fact that people love to ooh and ah at the way each other's eyes, teeth, and clothing look under black light makes it another ideal audience babysitter. At Horror Hotel, we like to use black lights in our waiting area to give our people something to talk about while they're standing in line, besides how slow the line moves. So stock up on those strobes and black lights right now. Well, not right now. Wait until after you've watched the rest of the show.
And as long as we're on the subject of lighting, just remember that as long as you have all of your electrical equipment in your haunted house carefully and thoroughly checked for safety, well, okay, don't do as I do as I say. As long as you have all of your equipment thoroughly checked to make sure it's safe and in good operating condition, you don't have to spend $700 a room to light your haunt. You don't have to use a lot of expensive equipment. There are a lot of things you can use that you can pick up at your local store, different types of lamps that will work like this. Lamp, like, where did you get those? A lot of lamps, such as this type, the regular spotlight, very easy to come by, very inexpensive. Now you can mount these spotlights on a wall, point them at your favorite part of the scene. You can mount them on the ceiling, sit them on a floor behind a tombstone or other piece of scenery, plug them in, put your basic white or colored bulb in there, hang them on the wall, point them down, point them up. Very nice. We recommend them for lighting situations in your haunted house. Another equally nice type is the dangerously cheesy, and it sounds like this tape. Another type of lamp is this type here, flexible so that you can position it aimed at any part of your scene that you like. Very nice too. Again, inexpensive. You can pick these up also at a department store. You can pick them up at hardware stores. You can pick them up at home improvement stores. Or if you're a shoplifter, I guess you just pick them up. But they're nice too because they have this heavy-duty clamp fixture on here, which you can clamp onto your favorite part of the scenery that doesn't show. You can clamp these onto pipes, pieces of the furniture, or the ears of bad assistants. And they're very nice too. Now the final type of lamp that's a really good one to use is this type here, which again, a simple work light. Take any regular size bulb, the clamp on there, just put that on your scene. Make sure people can't see it. Conceal it in the scenery or somewhere in the background of your set, and point that right on your scenery. And you're set right there, and you don't need to spend millions of dollars on lighting for your haunted attraction. That's one of the best things about these, is that they are cheap. Like us, here at Horror Hotel.
Your attention, please. The narration for the following scene was intended to be given by Laura Lady. However, we regret that she is unable to appear as she is currently busy elsewhere disciplining an employee who was found using safety pins in a careless manner. The next scene will instead be done by a latex rubber replica of Laura's head made from her life cast. We apologize for any confusion this substitution may cause, and we promise that the real Laura will be back to complete the scene shortly. Thank you for your patience.
Now then, here's another lighting tip. If you have a room in your haunted house that's going to stay more or less the same from year to year, one easy way to greatly change the look of the room is to just change the color of your lighting scheme. Let's say, for example, you have a room in your haunt that looks like a cave. Now here at Horror Hotel, we don't have a room that looks like a cave, so we're going to use the next best thing, which is a room that doesn't look like a cave. Now one year you might light that room with orange and yellow lights that'll give it a warm, autumnal, old-fashioned-y sort of look that you might want to use for characters like traditional Halloween monsters, like old-fashioned witches. You could also use that lighting scheme for goblins, trolls, gargoyles, skiwhack, or spider monsters. The next year you might change all the lighting to blue to give it a cold, icy, mysterious look, and it'll look like a perfect home for a Yeti. The year after that you might light it with green and purple and it'll look like an alien planet. And the year after that, light it with red and put a demon in it and it'll look like hell.
The following scene was intended to be narrated by David, a.k.a. Dr. Lady. Unfortunately, he is momentarily unavailable as he is busy trying to sell copies of his mask book. The role of host in the next scene will instead be played by a cheeseburger done medium well with lettuce and tomato. Thank you for eating at Horror Hotel.
Hi there! Don't forget, not just strobe lights, but any lights that flash on and off can create a disconcerting aura in any room at your haunt and will add a lot of life and animation to your scenes. You can work wonders with ordinary blinking Christmas lights, like in your mad scientist lab. You can get a lot of different kinds of novelty lights that you can modify using your imagination to fit your scenes. And you could also get little electrical devices in several different styles that'll make regular lights flash on and off. Or if you have really bad wiring, it might be an effect that'll come naturally. For a while, anyway. And now, back to your regular hosts, the ladies. Hey!
But first, an important reminder. Be sure to watch for the Horror Hotel segment on Hauntworld Part 52, in which narration written for Sam Donaldson will be read by a bowl of gravy, and the part of the Denver Broncos will be played by a bag of Fritos.
Yes, Fritos. The crunchy snack preferred by 12 out of 13 flesh-eating zombies. Don't put your foot in your mouth when you can get Fritos. Proud sponsor of the following shots, which are narrated by the real Laura Lady.
Now then, check out a few of these handsome hunks who've been hanging around Horror Hotel lately. And by the way, sorry about my earlier absence. I'll finish with the employee discipline problem later. He won't be going anywhere. Anyway, in your more dimly lit scenes, it almost always looks better to use several small splashes of lighting around the room aimed at the high points of the scene, rather than just one central light, which tends to make things look all murky and drab without really showing off your work. Of course, if your work turns out all boogity looking, you might prefer it too dark to see anything clearly look. Now, plain white light will show up the true colors of your nicely painted and detailed monsters better than any color will, which is why we suggest you use small hidden white lights to spotlight your best masks and props, and use colored lighting primarily to illuminate the set walls and background details of your scenes. Colored lighting also throws weirdly colored shadows into the background, letting your audience know they're not in Kansas anymore. And don't forget the old horror movie trick of lighting characters from a low angle for a delightfully threatening, extra creepy effect.
That's all from us tonight.
And whether you're running a big multi-million-dollar haunt or a cheap little garage full of junk you made out of cheese dip and dryer lint,
We here at Horror Hotel wish you the very best of luck this October.
and we hope you have a very successful, safe, and fun Halloween season this year. Yeah, that went well. Well, that was the end of the segment. We're done.
Ow! Where'd the safety pin come from?
Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate your advice on haunted lighting. Now, we're going to head over to Dallas, Texas again. And this time we're going to visit with Screamscapes, owned by Gene and Betty Braden and Drew Hunter. They've created a haunted attraction that you're not going to believe. But before we enter the attraction, let's hear what Gene Braden, owner and operator, has to say about the haunted house industry.
Well, I'm Gene Braden, owner of Screamscapes. We have a large queuing area inside our building, a 10,000 square foot lobby. To entertain our customers, this year we had a laser show. In San Antonio, the way we entertain our customers as they wait in line is a slideshow. We have been in San Antonio for 10 years and in Dallas for 3. Coming up in March of '99, my wife and I will be talking at the National Convention on bookkeeping. A lot of haunted attractions probably do not dot their I's and cross their T's the way they should in the bookkeeping end of the show. The paperwork needs to be done for the show to be complete. There's many different aspects of our type of shows. We are very theatrical, element of surprise, and illusion. We have approximately 35 different scenes at Screamscapes and around 25 different scenes at Nightmare on Grayson in San Antonio. Our haunted houses in San Antonio and in Dallas, we do believe in a lot of detail. One of the things that we have done that most other haunted houses have not done is we acquire our property before we come in and build our shows. That allows us to work on our scenes for many years. Instead of just doing phase 1 and then changing it out, moving, we do a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 on many of our scenes, so we can put a lot more detail and money into the show. Screamscapes in Dallas and Nightmare on Grayson in San Antonio, what puts our show above the other shows is the detail that we put in the operation of the show. In other words, bringing the actors in, training the actors, having actor managers to keep them doing what they're supposed to do within the parameters, keeping the show as safe as possible with our security. There's many different elements that we do that I would say probably most of the haunted houses don't spend the time to work out the details. Well, of course, for us, safety is the #1 importance. When we design our scenes, we think of the safety element not for just the customers, but also for the actors. Can an actor actually do this particular scene 200 times a night, realistically? Of course, the flow of the customers going through the scenes is critical also with the lighting, making sure they can see and know where they're supposed to go. The biggest tip that I could give someone else thinking about trying to get into this business is think long term. It takes several years for customers to get to know your location, to get to know where you are. In addition to that, I would say the line of communication is critical. You need to have good communication from A to Z in the haunted house business. I hope that some of the points that I've just made can help other haunted house operators have a successful show. Again, the #1 thing is longevity, knowing that you can get to about your 3rd season. Now, if you can survive, take a trip through Dr. Blood's Screamscapes, the Necrotorium, and the Territorium.
let's visit with Spooky Spectre's favorite stalker, Larry Kirshner. But let me tell you, Spooky, I had the same exact problem with Larry. I had to get a strangle order to keep him away from me. Larry's going to show you a few things about scaring customers in multiple attractions. So take it away, Larry.
Whoa, look at those snappers. This is actually going to be a new animation that we're building right now for the Halloween show for the haunted house industry. It's going to be an attacking raptor. Look at those choppers. He's going to be trying to eat people. Let's put him off to the side for a second there. What I'm going to try to show you here, we're going to try to wrap up Hauntworld the movie part 4. Yeah, I got it right that time. We're going to show you a couple really simple, easy techniques to add a little spice to your attraction. And in between that, we're going to take a look at some really cool haunted houses. There are haunted houses, so of course they're cool, right? No, anyway, one of the things, a while back we talked about using air to scare. Well, what we did was we set up this big baby, which we make, called the Big Blaster. And for $499, and please don't think this is an infomercial because it's not, because there's other people who sell these. I think Distortions actually has some kind of air blaster, and Stage Fright has some kind of air blaster. But this is our air blaster, and it definitely eliminates an actor, no question about it. And it actually gets a scare like you wouldn't believe. You set these babies up in a safe spot, of course, and you have a motion detector. See, I got scared. I didn't expect it to go off. But I guess you could hear that. So that's using air to scare. You see that charges right back up, and you hit it again. That is going to get the scare of a lifetime. Okay, no actor can do that. No actor can get a scare. That's going to scare a whole group. So in your haunted house, try to find ways that, number one, you can eliminate labor, because labor is a huge cost. And number two, where you can scare whole groups at a time. So when you get high throughput, you get like 5 or 6 people in a row, you can scare the whole group. And an air cannon is obviously one of the easiest ways to do that. Now, before we go any further in this segment here, a lot of people have been asking, what is a 3D haunted house? Well, last year, we built a 3D haunted house here in St. Louis. It's the biggest 3D haunted house in the entire country. It's about 30,000 square feet of 3D. We're actually going to show you last year's show. We've already added all kinds of new cool stuff this year. And actually next year, we're going to do a complete 3D renovation on it. We're going to turn it into more of like a cartoonish theme. And we're going to have add a lot more props and stuff like this. But take a look at TerraVisions in 3D. It'll give you an idea of what a 3D haunted house is. But keep in mind, you don't see it in 3D on television. You have to wear those special glasses and see it in person. So take a look at TerraVision in 3D, and we'll be right back with more scare tips. So what did you think of TerraVisions in 3D? Keep in mind that obviously you couldn't see it in 3D. You have to be there in person with the black lights and the glasses. But I'll tell you, it's a really cool effect. People really liked it in TerraVisions, and it was a lot of fun, and people just loved it. Now what we're going to do is we're back here again. We're going to show you things you can do with a simple battery charger. Now to do some of the bigger, neater things with a battery charger, you'd obviously need a bigger one. This is a very small battery charger, so you're not going to get the same effect as you would if you used a bigger one. Now, what we've got here is a very old and dingy and beat up windshield wiper motor. Okay, you got this right out of the junkyard. This is not ideally the one you'd want to use, but this is the only one. I sent somebody to go get a windshield wiper motor. Didn't know what they were looking for. This is what they came back with. Okay, this one even has the fluid motor attached to it. That's a bonus. But anyway, what you want to do, you see you've got this arm here. And as you notice, okay, we got the positive going to the positive side. I add the battery charger here. Okay, now you see this arm is turning. I don't know, Jim, if you can get a good shot of that. Normally what this rod would be doing would be turning all the way around. Okay, but you see it's making motion here. Now what could you do with that motion? You could put a fishing string on here and tie that off to a chandelier. So then you'd have a chandelier up in the ceiling that'd be just shaking back and forth, moving around. What else could you do with that? Oh my God, it's limitless. There's so many things you can do with it. You can make all kinds of little neat things move. We used to have a windshield wiper motor. We used to do a plexiglass, like a pepper ghost scene, and we actually had the ghost. Right, we hooked him to a windshield wiper motor so he moved around a little bit, and the glass. This is like the easiest, cheapest way to make something move. So I highly recommend getting some windshield wiper motors and some battery chargers and just make things move around your haunted house. Now one of the things you're definitely going to want to do is find a way to fasten the windshield wiper motor down to wherever you're going to mount it to. And obviously get a better windshield wiper motor than this and make sure the arm is real tight on there so it actually turns all the way around like it's supposed to. And so you'll get a better effect that way. Now let's show you one more way of using a battery charger. Take some metal fence, some grating, or whatever it is that you're wanting to electrify. Hook your negative side to it. Take your positive side, and you can have a wire or a metal rod or whatever, and you strike it across the metal grate that you've got your negative ground hooked up to. And you see I'm holding both ends. I'm not getting hurt or shocked in any way. And obviously, this battery charger is just not effective enough to give enough, electricity or volts or whatever to make any significant sparks. So you obviously need a bigger car battery charger. And the other thing is that this can be applied in so many ways. I remember seeing this gag and using this gag as many as 15 years ago. This gag has been around forever. I remember 10 years ago at House on Haunted Hill, we had a Freddy Krueger scene, and we had a Freddy Krueger glove. We took a regular electrical wire, probably no different than this one. We attached it to the positive side. We had about 15 feet of wire so the actor could run all up and down the hallway, and the whole upper part of the roof, okay, because we had attached a whole bunch of chicken wire to the roof, had the negative ground on it. And so Freddy Krueger was actually able to run up and down the hallway with his glove, throwing sparks everywhere. It was pretty effective. Obviously, you can use the same gag in like a prison type of scene or whatever. And the bigger battery charger you have, the more effect you're going to have. Now, one thing I will suggest is I've never seen this start any kind of fire, and the sparks are, very harmless, like a sparkle that you would get for 4th of July. Although I wouldn't suggest using this effect near anything that was flammable or where a spark could fly into something that was flammable, like a paint thinner or whatever. So be careful on how you use it. But as you see, I'm not being hurt by it in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of ways you could use a battery charger. To make the chandeliers move, to make ghosts move around in a plexiglass type of pepper ghost scene. You can use it to make sparks. You can make police car lights spin around. There's a variety of things you can do with a trusty old battery charger. But obviously you might want to get a bigger one than this. Now, We've showed you all these neat things, and a lot of people have asked us about mobile shows. Well, we're going to show you a mobile show that we actually built right here at Halloween Productions for Valley Fair in Shakopee, Minnesota. It was called the Phantoms Theater. So this will give you an idea of what a mobile show looks like, or what they can look like. So here, take a look at the Phantoms Theater in full effect at Valley Fair.
Valley Fair in Shakopee, Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Mark Freiberg, Vice President of Park Operations at Valley Fair in Shakopee, Minnesota. This year, for our Halloween Weekends promotion, we purchased this haunted house from Halloween Productions in St. Louis, Missouri. So come on in, let's take a look.
Halloween Productions Incorporated's tremendous success can be attributed to two major factors: our vast experience and our incessant attention to detail.
Welcome to the Phantom Theater.
A simple dark maze and predictable scares will not satisfy today's sophisticated customer. Every Halloween Productions mobile haunted house unit is packed with creative scares and enough eye candy to keep crowds coming back year after year.
Fantastic.
Was it? It was scary.
She screamed the whole time. She was really scared.
I lost my voice.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to take you on a tour of our attraction right here in St. Louis, the Darkness Haunted Scream Park. We're going to show you some of what we're talking about when we're talking about detail. You're not going to see a lot of actors jumping out at you. What you're going to see is you're going to see rooms filled to the brim with eye candy, and that's what it's all about. We're going to go back out to Dr. Frightener. Then we're going to take a look at a bunch of other awesome haunted houses. We're going to take another sneak peek at Knott's Berry Farm and Netherworlds and a bunch of other ones. So I want you to sit back, take a look at the darkness. I want to let you know it's been a lot of fun bringing you these videotapes, and the only reason that we do these videotapes is because we want to help the industry learn from itself. We've learned doing these tapes, and I hope that you have too. And I hope that you stick with us on Hauntworld website, hauntworld.com. I hope you share the information you've learned on the Fright Forum message board. I hope you subscribe to Fright Times, and I hope you submit articles to Fright Times. And don't hesitate to send us a little video of your haunted house so we can feature it on Hauntworld the Movie Part 5 and 6 and beyond. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you again next year with Hauntworld the Movie Part 5 and maybe 6 and 7, and who knows how many we'll have to make next year. Depends on how many videos that you send in to us, because we want to feature you on the next tape. So until then, see you later.
there?
Well, you know, we're just hanging out here, and there's nothing like a good horror convention to bring friends together, you know? See Ed maybe once a year, well, except for Chicago, and the same thing with John. It's just, it's great to see you guys, you know?
Hey, great to see you too.
Listen, can I offer you guys a pickle?
A little snack.
Yeah,
Jeez,
please.
Are you sure this is kosher?
Oh, it's absolutely kosher.
That's cool.
Have a pickle, Ed.
You know, there's nothing like a good pickle.
There's nothing like a good pickle.
Although it's hard to find a good pickle these days. It's tough to just, you know, just spearhead these little gherkins, you know?
Oh, I tell you, I know.
Jerking, you're gherkin, and gherkin,
you're a guy that knows about gherkins. John, how would you feel if all the competition in Salem was to leave?
Well, hey, I mean, I think that'd be great. I think, you know, I'd feel a little green there, I'd say, but...
Well, I understand that.
I don't know. I'd have to say that I like to crunch my competition, you know?
If I were you, I would relish the thought.
Oh, I would relish the thought. Most definitely. That's good. Wait,
you enjoying the pickles?
Oh, let me tell you something. You know, I don't know if you know the actual history behind pickles.
I don't think I do.
Well, a lot of people don't really understand where pickles come from or what they are. Some people have they're misinformed. Some people There's a big mystique about pickles. There really is. It's like it's like the whole spam thing.
Yeah.
See, these small pickles, you'll probably notice that this is much smaller than a regular pickle.
I've seen bigger pickles.
These are pickle seeds. Okay? It's like the old, you know, a lot of people don't know that donuts come from Cheerios. You plant them and they grow donut trees.
So pickles have been known to plant their evil seed.
Let me tell you something. Good haunted houses don't go on trees. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Let me tell you. I mean, you put yourself in a pickle.
Yeah. Ed?
So that's it for Hauntworld the Movie Part 4. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Hauntworld channel because we plan on uploading hundreds of videos, you know, how-to videos and everything in between. So make sure that you like and subscribe this page so you get notifications, and leave a comment and tell us what kind of videos you'd like to see next. Stay tuned because Hauntworld the Movie Part 5 is coming soon.
For scary videos and more, subscribe to our YouTube page, hauntworld.com.